dispense with describing what will happen after we make recommendations because we're making no recommendations today. And given there are no citizens here, I'll dispense with the rules for public comment. So with that, we are ready to call the roll.
Christensen?
Here.
Shazinski?
Here.
Carolman?
Here.
Staple?
Here.
Hartman?
Here. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can we have a motion to approve the minutes from our April meeting?
So moved. Second.
Okay, Dan moves.
Jim.
Jim seconds. It took me, never mind. All in favor?
Aye.
I do have to call the roll on that? Roll.
Christensen?
Here. Aye. I'm here.
Aye.
I'm here.
Carolman?
Aye.
Staple?
Aye.
Hartman?
Aye. Okay, just as a heads up, I'm going to be leaving in about 10 minutes. I have a grandson in track today, and I don't want to miss the whole thing. So with that, we've got old business, and new business is to thank Dan for 10 years. That's a heck of a commitment.
Thanks, guys.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
You're here.
Yep, thank you for your 10 years. And, Dan is going to be retiring. He wasn't interested in continuing. And then Ross, who's done a little over 6 years, wasn't able to make it today, but he did want to thank everybody as well for the camaraderie and the time together. So both of them have served for, that's a pretty good long stretch. So we appreciate your service.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very good.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
With that, staff statements.
Yeah, and probably won't be a long meeting because I just wanted to follow up on some of the things from the last meeting since I took some time to research them. The no parking on Ripple on Oregon, between Oregon and Red Oak, that's going to the second reading tonight. We did put the temporary signage out. The last meeting we talked about the temporary no parking signage, and I actually found out that that was actually placed there by the company, by Generic. And I think obviously it was the right action because apparently a couple of cars before they'd got the signs out there had gotten dinged by some semis, so coming in and out of there. So they were in favor of the no parking as well. It's unfortunate they're having some issues managing where their employees park, but I think this will help encourage them to park somewhere else as well. So that'll be good. And I know that the police department's been involved too, and they've been trying to educate their employees to find somewhere else to park. So I think in the end that'll be the right thing. Last meeting, we talked about the crash report, and then in particular there was some interest in the crashes at the intersection of Jackson and New York. So we did, along with my colleague at the East Central Plan Commission, did pull some data on that, and there were a couple questions to see if there was a time of the day. There really isn't anything that stands out there. For the 4+ year period, it looks like most of them were around the lunch hour. So if anything, there was 5 out of 31 during that time. I think there was some thought that maybe it was in the afternoon during school release, but that doesn't appear to be the case. So that's something we'll have to keep an eye on. And then also, we had noticed the increase in the rear end crashes. So we did look to see what, if there were contributing actions for those crashes. And so it looks like, there were 9 crashes, and usually there were 2 driver action movements. But based on this report, of those, the majority had no contributing action that was noted. And the majority were just simple rear ends going, straight forward. There were, a couple other things here, falling too close or unknown, but there was only a couple that were too fast or failure to control. So we'll just have to keep an eye on it. There's really no definitive trend or anything we can point to say that we should maybe look at taking corrective action on. So we'll continue to work on that. The other thing that was brought up at the last meeting was I think Courtney had brought it up, the speed limit signage on Highway 21, east and west of 41. And I did talk to WISDOT's traffic engineer to ask him to take a look at it. And they basically, without reading this whole thing, said that the regulatory speed limit signage is appropriate for the area. There is some concern too, with the spacing between signs. They said it's very unlikely they could fit another sign in that area due to the existing sign placement, and it's a very common issue in and near interchanges. And they want about 100 to 200 feet between signs to provide adequate driver vision and perception reaction. And their comment, which we're aware of, is basically, lots of signs, almost to the extent of being a little bit of sign clutter, and that can cause issues as well when you oversign an area and then people start disobeying them or think that there's just too much there. So, and that's their jurisdiction, so I guess we'll have to go with that. The intersection of Highway 21 and West Haven Drive, they have jurisdiction on 21, so we need to discuss anything that we would potentially like change there. So I did discuss with them kind of what we did at the last meeting for feedback, and obviously we'd have to work with them if any changes, because it would also affect the signal detection that exists in that area. So basically what they're saying is that the southbound approach of West Haven only has about 50 vehicles per hour turning left or east on 21 during the peak hours, and that low volume does not justify the need for a left turn lane or a dedicated left turn lane. I also did ask them about any centerline marking throughout that intersection to maybe align with West Haven. And they stated that there isn't not a documented crash issue contributed to the alignment at the time, and markings through the intersection are difficult to maintain. So without a crash history, they would not be willing to place markings. So at this time, I think it's kind of status quo, unless we would get some support from them. So again, it's on their radar now, so I think that, if we do have some data or something to support it, that we could go back to them. But and they did welcome if anyone wants to call them. They'll obviously talk to them, but that's basically what they're going to say. So I wanted to just follow up on those couple issues. And then the last staff statement, as you had mentioned earlier, tonight council will be discussing the board and commission study that was done by a couple of council members. It appears that the recommendation is going to be to combine this board with the Transit Advisory Board and the Bike and Pedestrian Advisory Board. So if they approve that recommendation, then we would have one new transportation committee. And how they do that is kind of up to the mayor. I'm guessing what they may do is get interest from whoever's on those boards who's interested in continuing to serve, and then make up a new board would be my guess. However, I don't know that for a fact, but that's what they're looking at. And then obviously with the new council, there'll be new council appointments to each of those boards and commissions. So obviously we don't currently have one. It's the same with my Transit Advisory Board.
Will you be the chair?
Yes. Yep. So
Oh, and you could lose.
that's that's what so the city manager makes the staff appointments, so I've already kind of been told that I'm the transportation committee. But anyway, so I think it makes a lot of sense. It will be good for the citizens because they'll know if they have a transportation issue where to bring that. I know now there's sometimes with issues that go between boards, there's a little confusion, and I think it'll be good too for, volunteerism is down in general, and it is more difficult to get board and commission members. We've been pretty fortunate, but I know a lot of the other boards and commissions have struggled. So they're looking at potentially reducing the number of board members as well. I don't know where they're going to land. Some committees, they had recommended 5 with 2 alternates, so maybe 7. But again, that's up for some discussion yet between the mayor and council where they're going to land on that. It's probably likely that this committee for transportation would meet at Tuesdays at 4 p.m. So what I would say is stay tuned for that, and then if you're interested, I'm sure I'll be providing more information on how to if you need to reapply or how that's gonna work once the mayor decides. I know right now with Dan and Ross retiring, we're down to 4 here currently. I know I'm a couple short on transit, and I know bike and ped's a couple short too, so it's gonna be a lot smaller pool, assuming that people are interested still, so we'll see how that goes.
Okay.
So I really just wanted to get those updates out there, because I'm not sure what's gonna happen after tonight's council meeting as far as they go, but I did wanna get you that information you'd requested at the last meeting.
When would that take place, for the next meeting, or?
I would assume for the next meeting, because they're gonna have to make the, council appointments pretty soon.
Okay. Oh, do you think they could get it all done before the June meeting? I mean,
Maybe.
I think
don't
it'd be
know.
hard to figure out.
Maybe, maybe not. I
who's
guess
gonna be-
that's a good question.
Who's gonna be on?
Yeah, it is. You're right. That is a tight turnaround.
Yeah.
I know that they're gonna try to get it as quickly as possible, but yeah, that's a good point. I don't know.
Okay. Any potential agenda items for the future?
The future is murky.
I will say
So
that
your agenda item is clarity in the future?
Right.
if these, if that does go, assuming they accept the recommendation, it will be good as well, because there will be, this one we usually have a pretty good agenda, but there'll be a more significant agenda, so that, each meeting can probably get a little better use of the time of, instead of having 3, of getting it all done in one.
Okay. All right. With that, I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved?
Second.
Jim, Barry seconds.
All right, thank you.
We don't have to vote on that, right? I mean, we have to vote by roll. We can just walk out.
I think you
That's our
could
voting.
Yeah, I think we're good. Everybody accepts it.